Hello Facebook ads people, I'm Konstantinos, and today we're going to discuss why I don't like to scale ad accounts or even ad sets with the 20% rule. For all of you that you have been here for the past year or years, you know that in this channel we don't like to scale with 20% budget every day, but we do like to scale by stacking campaigns, and that means that you're going to do extra campaigns, not just with cannibalizing something that is already working, but you're just going to use other creatives, other interests, other strategies in order for you to be able to stack campaigns which are going to help you work. And then we have a whole philosophy on how we treat this ad account on bad periods and how we're working in another account with average results and so on. That's the way that we do it, and we're going to analyze the second method, which is, there are other methods also that I can analyze in a video, but there's a second method which makes sense in a technical level, and this is the 20% scaling. So Meta says that with the attribution setting that we have in the ad set level, 7 days click, 1 day view, this is what we use. And in rare cases 1 day view, but this is not a video about that. We are actually needing 50 events in order to pass the learning phase. You should not be fixated with the idea of passing the learning phase because as I told you several times in other videos, in new ad accounts you will never pass the learning phase because of the budget. It's not going to be enough. And in bigger ad accounts, even when we see ad sets passing the learning phase, I cannot see any major difference, for example, for these ad sets in terms of performance with the other ad sets that they didn't pass the learning phase. So the learning phase is a theory, it's there, you're passing the learning phase with 50 events, not to mention that I have seen ad sets passing the learning phase with less than 30 events. But anyway, the theory says this, that in the conversion window that we are using, the attribution setting as it's called now, we need 50 events for the event that we're optimizing for. If we optimize for checkouts, for example, we need 50. But for purchases, we need 50 if we optimize for that. So the theory says that, from Meta again, that in order for you not to go back to the learning phase after one ad set gets out of the learning phase, you need to go there and actually start scaling it by 20% and not more. So if you are spending 100, you have to scale it to 120 and not more, because that, if you do more, it's going to get it out of the learning phase. So far the theory is correct, okay? It's coming from Meta, they talk about learning phase, 20% and all of that.
Nice job, team.
But let me tell you why I don't like it, and then we will go to my PC to show you one case. Hi guys, I would like to interrupt this video in order to talk to you about my new mentorship programs, and I would love if you go to the website. You're going to find the link in the description, or you can find it in the menu of my website, and over there you're going to be able to see the different mentorship programs that I have. You can find the one that is going to fit better your needs, and I will hope to see you there. First of all, I don't like the fact that you're scaling so fast every day, every 2 days, watching the last 7 days. This is what the people that they are doing the 20% rule do. I think that because of delayed reporting and all of that, we should not be so aggressive on our scalings on the Meta platform, but this is my idea. Secondly, when you're starting with small budgets, it's going to take you a lot of time to reach to the point that you're going to start scaling more. For example, if you start with $10, for example, you have to do 12. Then from 12 you have to do 14, 15 and so on. So it's very small increases with 20%, but after some point, after 100, 200, it's rolling really well with good scales. Third thing, the fact that something has passed the learning phase, it doesn't mean that it's able to scale. This is a mistake that most people do. It passed the learning phase. It doesn't mean that it's scalable because it passed the learning phase. It's scalable if it is scalable. Let's keep it like this. And the last mistake that I see is that a lot of times people think that they don't think. A lot of times people, they actually go and they start scaling something which is having good ROAS without passing the learning phase. So what is the point of doing 20% increases if you haven't passed the learning phase? You're not afraid of not getting out of the learning phase because you have never been out of the learning phase.
Boom. Roasted.
And I know I have seen other accounts scaling profitably with a 20% rule, but most of the times it's for bigger budgets. It's never for other accounts that are starting with 100, 200 budgets per day. If you have 100 or 200, maybe it's better to do another campaign on top of that. I think it's going to be a much better strategy. But if you're having 10 campaigns and each one of them is having 2K, 1K or whatever, then doing the 20% rule makes more sense there because you have passed the learning phase, you have enough money that you're spending in a daily level so that you can get the 50 events and so on. One last thing that I'm noticing consistently, and it's the reason that I don't like this method, is that Facebook is having bad periods. For example, it's having a bad Saturday, a bad Tuesday, and we can see this across all of our accounts. When you're scaling with 20%, you are having better chances of scaling something in a bad day, which might cause it to have issues as an ad set, and you might lose it, eventually, because it doesn't mean that you can scale infinitely just because Meta says the 20% rule, you can scale infinitely something. Maybe at some point it's going to break. The fact that something passed the learning phase and you are scaling it, it doesn't mean that it can scale forever. And a lot of times this is the mistake that people do, and this is why I don't like it, because it's super risky. Of course, there are cases that people have done it correct because the product was strong, the offer was strong, or it was a very good period, a very good month, for example, like the previous July. In the previous July, with the good results that we had, if you kept scaling with the 20% rule, most probably you would be convinced that it's a good method. What I don't like with the 20% rule is that it's super aggressive, super fast after some spends, and you are not negating the risk of scaling in a bad day. On the other hand, with the way that I like to use, when you have 2 campaigns, 3 campaigns, and you do another one, even if it is a bad period, you're going to be left with your 3 campaigns that you already have, and the new campaign is just going to fail and you can test it another time or you can just close it. On the other hand, when you're scaling something with 20%, you are just risking of losing this ad. And some people are going to say that, yes, but I can go and lower the spend. Let me tell you that only 40 to 50% of these ads are actually recovering after scaling down. Most of the times, on some of those that you have scaled, they are never going to come back. The 20% rule wasn't made for CBO campaigns. It was made for ABO. If you're using CBO campaigns with several assets inside and you're just going to increase the budget there, the changes that you're doing to the budget, the 20%, first of all, not all of the assets inside, because it's a CBO, are going to pass the learning phase, okay? Even if you have a really dominant ad which passed the learning phase and you're increasing with 20%, if this 20% change goes towards this, then it's going to be fine most probably. But again, you are risking of making a mistake in the long term instead of leaving it like this and do another campaign. But on the other hand, if you think of it, having a CBO campaign which are extremely fragile in terms of increasing their budgets and increasing the spend, maybe it's going to go on other assets that they're not going to perform well, or they're going to just disturb the balance that you have between the spend of the assets that are producing a good average result for you. And this is not ideal, and this is why I don't like to do it. I do understand it more when people actually use it on ABO campaigns. I don't understand it at all when people are using it on CBO campaigns, unless if everything is turned off and you just have one asset left. Let's go to my PC and let me show you this specific ad that has been ruined by just scaling all the time with the 20%, and there was no turning back point after that. Okay, now it's going to take us some time, but I want to prove a point here. So this is the ad set that we are having here, which was scaled, and this is a campaign with several ABOs. As you can see, they have 11.11 and stuff. Most of the times when I go to ad accounts and I see stuff like 59.10 or 11.10 or 14.3, I'm figuring out that people are playing here with the 20% budget. So here you can see some fails. All of those actually failed. Eventually, we're having results from 1st of March until the 17th of April, which is today. And I wasn't managing the account on March, but I managed the account for the whole April, and I'm going to show you the results after that. And again, I'm just trying to prove a point here, but it doesn't mean that 20% never works in any account or anything. It does work in some accounts, but in bigger budgets. In smaller budgets, you don't have to scale like this. It's much more risky. Over here, we're having this, and I will open here from the clock to see the history. Obviously, I'm going to hire here who are the people making the changes, and over here the item change and stuff, but we will be able to see the bets. So on March 5, and I will go here, I'm going to do it on the first one, and this is the second one. So on March 5, we have a starting budget of $10, and we see that we could have the first scaling on March 9. So after it was having some good results, they scaled it on March 9. Let's see what happened on this period. So on March 5, we have this spend nothing, and March 5 to 8, let's see. Started pretty well, 3.71, break-even rose on this ad account 1.8, so pretty cool. 3.71, and they said, okay, this is working really well. March 9, they are increasing the budget. I still see 8.7, I don't know why, but they increased on that. 10, we go to $13 over here, 7, okay, so they are starting getting messages, on the small budgets, it's looking appealing, but if you think of it, you're not making big changes. The problems and if it's going to work is something that you're going to see later on the bigger budgets. So you can see here that they go to 12, the next day at 11, 14.64. Let's see how it continues. 3.43, okay, still is doing well. On the 12th, it has no sale. On the 13th, it's having again sales. Let's see what happened here. We have over here on the 12th, we have this increase. On the 14th and the 16th, we still keep increasing. We started from $10, and right now, after all of these changes, we're on just 21, okay? Over here, we go from 14, no results again. So on the 15th, we're having some really good results, most probably delayed reporting also. On the 15th, there are no changes here. It's having sales. On the 14th, that I'm just observing here, okay? I'm not blaming. On the 14th that we did changes, it didn't have any results. Let's see on the 16th that we do have a change again on the budget. It still has no results. It looks like when we are doing a bump on the spend, it's actually getting shocked. Okay, over here also I'm seeing that they are not following the rule because they're going from 21 to 47. Maybe there was a mistake at the math over here, okay? 17, 18, 19, we have increase of the spend, 20, 21, 22, they keep increasing after that point by just keeping, I don't know if these are 20% rules over here, for example. I'm guessing that, let's see, on the 19th they did that. Let's see what they have seen on the 18th, okay? So 17, they have seen this result, 18, they have seen these results, so they are increasing the spend because they have seen some 20 rows and stuff, which is delayed reporting. 3.78, it's still moving pretty well. Right now, they are increasing to budgets like 106, for example, on the 20th of March. And you can see here that we have 109, so it spends a little bit less. And they continue scaling. So most of the times when I see people scaling with a 20%, they are also looking the previous day. They're not just looking the last 7 days and all of that. It's just a much more complex strategy of looking the previous day, last 2-3 days, so that you can see the tendency, then the last 7 days to see if you are hitting the whole asset on the whole level. Then you're not doing it daily necessarily, you're doing it day by day, unless if you have really concrete results. And then we continue 25. We're starting some big bumps right now, okay? 22, 23, 25, 26. We have scales. Let's start seeing. 21, it has 2.35. 22, 3.69. No results on March. 3.87, it continues like this. 25, it goes like this. 1.61 on 26, 27. Has this 28, and here's where it starts to get bad, okay? 30, it gets some good results. 31, okay. Now let's analyze a little bit this period, okay, from 26 to 31, because again, it doesn't mean that it's not going to work, but eventually there's going to be a mistake along the way. Not a mistake on the scaling, but a bad decision or something that you have done because it was a bad day and you cannot influence that. So they kept scaling from 26. So we see on 26 and then 29 and 30. So let's see, on 26, they had some bad results. 27, they had some 2 rows, so they were not happy like the 3 rows. 28, no. 29, this. So they have all of these bad days and still they go on 29 and they actually increase the spend more. They go on 30. We have this one. and then we go on 31. We have again bad results. Let me see what happened on 31. Okay, it makes sense. So they go from 26 to 29, which was the bad period, to an increase, as you can see. And then, because they had bad results on the 30, they go and they lower the budget. On the 30 over here, they went and they lowered the budget. So this day they were actually having some better results. A normal strategy is to keep increasing, but first of all, when are you going to stop? For example, for me, this was a very good indication that they had to stop. They shouldn't scale more, or they should try to just monitor it as it is without trying to push again and again. Here we can see that they scaled down 264 and then they took it up again, which I think that this was the last mistake that they have done. From this to 300 again on the 31st, and actually the results got ruined even more, because after the 31st we have this one, then this one, 1.58, 1.80, 3, 4.78, one good day on Thursday, and here it's actually closed. Okay, yeah, this is only with 45 spent. It's actually spent a little bit. Yeah, this one is having a good result because it didn't complete the whole day. Okay, so all of the results that it was getting after that point, which is the point that I want to make, is that they were actually bad. And they were reckless. Yes. Were they greedy? 100%. You can use the 20% rule. The problem is, when are you going to stop? And all of this effort that you have done, it could be done with another 1 or 2 campaigns with 100 and 100, okay? So it doesn't worth it. Also, starting from $10 and increasing slowly, and then making a mistake, taking the budget lower, we can see that it's working, but it doesn't mean necessarily that it's going to save the ad set for forever from now on. Maybe the damage was already done. So here we have a pretty clear case of actually having an agency scaling like that, and me coming on the ad account, having on March this kind of results, which is below break even, and so far on April, these are my results. The point here is this: I didn't change a lot of things. The only thing that I changed is that I'm not scaling with the 20% rule. I'm just scaling with stacking up campaigns. And we can see here that what I have is one advanced plus campaign, one campaign which is a top of funnel, then a crazy method from a working ad, and one more crazy method which I haven't still optimized. Let's see what kind of results it has. Let's see if we can optimize. We always optimize, right? So this one I closed it because it had 0 checkouts on this. Just a small lesson on CB optimization. This is also a small spend comparing to what we're getting in average results over here, which is 32, 30. So we're going to let this campaign run for a longer period. Let's see also today what kind of results we have. Yeah, so this is going to solve one of the big questions that you have, okay? So this is a mistake on my part. I shouldn't have closed this ad set, so I'm going to turn it on back again, okay? It's totally fine. If you are all day in front of the PC and you do it, and you don't do it after 3-4 days, you can do this kind of stuff, but of course, in CB optimization, you're going to do mistakes. It's not my fault that today it had 1 checkout and 2 purchases out of nowhere, while yesterday it had... This is the correct one, okay? Not this one. You can see the check over here. While yesterday it had not a single add to cart. It's not my mistake, okay? So today it's having that. Okay, you are getting some events, you are optimizing, 2 add to carts, 1 checkout, 2 purchases. Fine, I'm gonna let you run, and we're going to see how it goes. It's still having bad results, but if it continues like this, who knows? And we will see tomorrow how we're going to continue. Anyway, this was a small parenthesis of CB optimization. That's all I had for you. This is what I wanted to show you for scaling with 20% rule instead of scaling with extra campaigns. A lot of people are going to disagree. We don't care. Do whatever you think it's best for you. Test it, and whatever it's going to work, it's going to work. So, guys, that's all I had for you. I thought that it was an interesting case that we had to explore together. It's proving a little bit why I don't like the 20% rule. It's not that I haven't tested enough. I just find it much more risky comparing to do extra campaigns, just closing the new campaign that didn't do that well. If you want to learn more, you can check my book, my course, my website, my mentorship programs, and until we meet again, be creative and be consistent.